Yes,
All right.
you're live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of the Nathaniel Kode Experience. Today, we'll be addressing a theme called the pursuit of happiness. I have with me Mr. Jide Badmus. Jide is an engineer, a poet, and a very good writer that I've actually enjoyed a lot of his poems over time. I read one of his book. That was 2018, right? There's a storm in my head, and it was a really, really interesting one. And today is a
2017.
2017 years. I really enjoyed that, and I have Jide here to actually talk with me concerning a topic that I believe a lot of people will be interested in. Um, so the reason why we put together this program is to address some pertinent issues. A lot of times you see a lot of people talking about how to succeed in business, how to succeed in career, and even in relationships. But then there are other little and vital things about life, things like happiness, things like joy, things like peace that people don't really give much priority to. But in the end, whatever we are pursuing, however we define success, these things are actually the underlying metrics that we measure our life by. Family and how family goes about in making our lives more beautiful. So that's why we've decided to put this together to talk about this thing. So on happiness, and from the picture we used to the pre-program, we saw a certain lady pursuing a balloon, a smiley face balloon, and it goes to show that we are all, in some extent, pursuing happiness. Whatever we are doing, we just want to make ourselves happy and to be satisfied with our lives. So, but it seems like as time progresses, people are becoming very unhappy, and there's a lot of unhappiness, at least from my own observation. So, Jide would discuss that with us. What do you think is responsible for this? I don't know if it's true at your own end. Why are people increasingly becoming unhappy these days?
Well, before I start, I want to say good evening to everyone watching and listening. Well, first and foremost, I would like us to understand that I'm not a specialist on happiness, but
Yeah.
it's something I feel it's very important in our lives. Like you said, a lot of people are increasingly becoming unhappy. Yeah, I think life itself it's something serious, something hard, and we daily find ourselves in situations whereby if we don't make effort at being happy, we easily fall into a state of unhappiness. What is happiness? It's a state of achieving pleasure. So if you said a feeling of great pleasure. That's what dictionary meaning of happiness is. So yeah, every human being pursues happiness. We want to be happy. We want to be smiling, laughing all the time. Want to enjoy the free things, the good things. But ironically, we majority of people around are quite unhappy. Some show it on the surface, some try to hide it. I think many factors contribute to this unhappiness. I don't know, maybe you get to that, but some of the things I can identify that makes a lot of people unhappy is, well, I would like to bring it down to even our nation, Nigeria. A lot of people, human beings generally, we have dreams, we have plans, we have things we have set out to do. And the major factor that brings unhappiness is our inability to achieve these things. So when we have numerous dreams and we fail at every step we take to achieve this, I think it's like a major cause of unhappiness. It's a major cause of unhappiness.
That's quite interesting. So, when you have ambition, when you have goals, and it seems as if you're not achieving those things, or you feel like achieving them, it kind of creates an unhappiness. So, what would you say would be the solution? How can we mitigate these factors that cause unhappiness?
Wow, it's a big one because yeah,
Yeah.
the reality is I just mentioned one factor, inability to satisfy our dreams or to meet up with our plans and our goals and our targets. Yeah, many other factors actually even cause this, especially in Nigeria. You set out, you know, you make plans to achieve some things. You set out, you invest in them, and you have all these um, what will I call it now? Inadequacies, all these obstacles, things that are supposed to be there to actually aid you, things that are beyond your control. You talk of PHCN, you talk of bribery and corruption, maybe the contract you're supposed to win normally, but somehow someone goes through the back door, someone knows someone has bribed, someone has collected money. You get. So how do we, in spite of all this, achieve happiness? That's what me I look at. Because as Khalil Gibran is a poet, um, there is one particular poem he wrote on. I think the title is Sorrow and Joy, or Joy and Sorrow. And I'll just quote part of it. I'll just read part of it for us. It says, "Some of you say joy is greater than sorrow, and others say, nay, sorrow is greater. For I say unto you, they are inseparable. Together they come, and when one sits with you alone at the table, for each of and every one of us to know is that life is like a coin. It comes in round to go through both sides of the coin. There will be the high times, there will be the low times. So the first solution to unhappiness is knowing that yes, bad things will happen at some times. We will fail at our dreams, we will stumble, we will fall, but we'll still rise. So as much as possible, when those sad times come, when those itches come around, we don't dwell on them.
Okay.
As much as possible, we pick up ourselves and dust ourselves in preparation for the good time. I think for me that is the major solution, because happiness is something that we must deliberately search for. It's something that we must, deliberately look for. You don't sit down and expect happiness to fall on you. Yeah, there are times we wake up and for no reasons we are all smiles, we have joy, we are happy. But most of the time, especially as adults, happiness is something and that's why I like the title of this discussion. It's something we have to pursue. It's not something that falls to us just like that. So, like I said, knowing that life comes in twos, it's a coin. So when you expect that one way or the other, you're going to fall short of some things, you are also set to bounce back. So when those sad times come, when those dark times come, at the back of your mind, you're expecting the sun to rise again. I think mindset is the first and major solution to unhappiness. Our mindsets, our mindsets.
Wow, that's really beautiful. Wow, the mindset and how do you interpret like basically what you're trying to say is that we have to embrace life as it is. I've heard some people say
Yeah,
that sometimes you make plans and then life just happens to you, right?
life
All the things
happens.
you put you put in place and then you think everything is going according to plan and then life happens. But those things can easily make us unhappy. But from what you're saying is
Sure.
we first of all have to accept this reality that things can go wrong, things will not always
Yeah.
go well. And when we have that mindset and come to that understanding that this is a reality, we'll be able to solve. At least that's the first step towards
Yes.
solving unhappiness.
Solving unhappiness.
Yes. So that brings me to the next question. What do you understand by happiness? What is happiness? At least we've tackled the issue of unhappiness now and what is responsible for unhappiness. But what do you
Well,
understand by happiness?
I think I one way or the other just mentioned on the dictionary definition of happiness.
Yeah.
It's a feeling of great pleasure. And well, just to be practical, because life isn't really about definitions. It's more
Mm-hmm.
about practical things that we see, the things we actually feel. So what will you feel to say you're happy? How do you feel when you're happy? Yeah, there are physical signs of happiness, though they are not absolute.
Okay.
But at least when you see these signs, you can easily portray to people that you're happy. And one of them is a smile.
Right.
Your facial appearance. You're always all smiles. You're laughing. That's so for me. Pleasure, um, feeling they're abstract. They are really not what you can easily pin down and say. So I think happiness it varies from one person to another.
Okay.
And that's why we I was saying we must be deliberate in seeking happiness. So the fact that what makes me happy is different from what makes my brother happy or what makes you, Nathaniel, happy also means we have different definitions to it and we have different routes through which we attain it. So, like I said, from physical appearance, you can easily tell someone is happy. Someone is you're bubbling like boiling water. You're jumping around at the slightest joke. You are all laughs. And well, we achieve this in various ways. Yes, some are temporal, and but I think most importantly, for people like me and for people that we have belief in spiritual stuff, in spiritual things, I think we all agree that every human is a spiritual being, irrespective of where your belief or faith lies. So I think it's more of a spirit thing. It's about grooming your spirit to embrace light, to portray, and what you embrace is what you reflect. What you take in is what you reflect. So, you know, getting yourself in the mood of joy, in the mood of happiness is also more about getting yourself, get being at peace with yourself. So it's more of getting a balance out of life. So, like I said, yes, you had a plan, and throughout the day, everything seemed to work against you. But you also believe that tomorrow is another opportunity. and tomorrow is likely to be bright. So you bring that balance. You bring that balance. You try to forget, put at your back, put behind you those bad things that have just happened, and look towards the. You are not now dwelling in the night. You are looking at the morning. Yeah, like I also said, there are things we do personally, physically, that maybe to an extent make us happy. It sounds funny, but some people derive certain joy after taking a bottle of two of alcohol. But it's true. You just have to be at a gathering where people are drinking,
Yeah.
and you see the way some people laugh at the slightest of jokes, even things that are innocently not funny. They just start laughing. Some people, it's music. When they are down, it's music. They just play music, and there are some other natural. For me, maybe I should get a bit practical.
Yeah.
For me, I usually say something to most people who have my WhatsApp contact, who can see my status and all. I say, when I'm stressed, the drug is my children. When I see my daughters, I forget all the stress. I forget all the burdens. When I'm alone, I might put all the burden. I have to do this, we have to do this. There's no money, there's no this. But once I see my daughters, it's natural, it's just automatic. In their speech, in their laughter, in what they just want to play. They are innocent. And I think it's one of the reasons why as we are more happy as children. I think the more we know about life, the more we get to know or get to see the reality of life, the more unhappy we become. So as much as possible, the solution to unhappiness or understanding happiness is being like children, having the mind of children. They don't care, they don't know where the next meal is coming from. They just know they will eat. They must have that chocolate, must have that those ice cream. They must you understand?
Yeah, yeah, I do.
If we can get ourselves to the state of children, I believe we'll understand happiness better. We'll constantly be in that state of happiness. I don't know if
Yeah.
I'm able to
No, no, it's
explain.
beautiful. Actually, I've picked so more many points from what you just said, right about. I think there's this certain saying that ignorance is bliss, right? And the less you
Yes,
know,
yes.
the more you seem to be happy. The more
Mm,
you know, the more unhappy you kind of become. So, um,
yeah,
but then that brings me to was internalizing externalities, right? I'm just trying to create a phrase around that. One of the things that can really
yes,
get us unhappy is when we start to think about all the bad things that are happening around us, right? So sometimes it's not just what is happening to you, right? But what is happening to others
to
around
us.
you,
Yeah,
right? So, for example, now
yeah,
during this week,
yes,
we heard about the killing of George Floyd in the US and a certain rape of a certain lady in Lagos, right? And sometimes when you think about all these things, this oppression that you see around us, police brutality, it's another uh, thing. And then just sheer injustice.
mutual.
Sometimes you go for something you know you're
Mm,
quite qualified for, and then favoritism and nepotism is used as a criteria. So when you look at all those things happening around you, it can easily make you unhappy. So you
yeah,
said we should be like children, right? Children don't care where the
yeah,
next thing is coming from. They trust you as their dad.
Yeah.
they want to eat ice cream. They know that
Yes.
daddy is going to provide ice cream, whether
One
daddy
way or
has
the
money or
other.
not.
Or not.
So so now looking at all that is happening around us, especially concerning oppression, are we supposed to just ignore these things and say these things are not happening so we can be happy, or how can we go about that?
This is serious. This
Yeah.
is serious, and it's quite tricky. Yeah, I won't lie to you. I've been expecting this even
Okay.
from the first time we you informed me about this discussion. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I know it's part of those kind of questions that people come with. The reality is, I don't know, from right from when I was a teenager, there are some truths and some realities that I believe I have discovered and that
Okay.
has been of great help in my personal growth. And it's one of those things that have helped or has, also contributed to me taking care of my mental health, mental well-being. It is sad to say, but it is reality that good and evil exists in almost same measure. Even if evil does not even overshadow the good out there. And when you look at life, when you look at everything that surrounds life, that's just how it is. Like I said at the start, it's like a coin, but it's more than a coin. It's like in between. I think the first thing is us coming to the realization that these things exist and finding a balance.
Okay.
How do we find a balance? The first thing is um the ideal world is purely a theory. It's purely theory.
That's interesting.
It is not achievable. And when you come to this realization, yes, you get angry at stuff, you get sad at stuff, but you just have to, you cannot put the burden of the world on yourself. You will crumble.
Oh,
You will crumble. At at a point, I stopped listening to news because majorly news is what the major part of news is tragic,
yeah.
is tragedy, is sadness, is what even sells most, is darkness. You hear of accidents, you hear of rape victims, you hear of a gunman that just goes to a beach and opens fire on everybody, goes to a club and you know. But yes, we cannot take ourselves out of these situations. We cannot be in a state of, what will I call it now? We cannot be robots. We have to feel, we have empathy, we have sympathy for people, but I think we need a level of control. We
Okay.
need a level of control. It's it sounds somehow, it sounds as if, but the reality is it's hard to say. But we have family, we have people we are very close to, and if we don't lie to ourselves, when things happen to those people, the way it affects us is different from looking at a global effect of all these tragic stuff that we see all around us, or injustice and all that. Well, one way or the other, it is very good to be conscious and to, but I think we should also pick our fights. We should also pick our um advocacies. We cannot advocate for everything. You cannot be the one at the forefront of rape. cannot be the one at forefront of, there are a lot of fights out there. There are a lot of injustice out there. Even you don't get to hear all this news. You see someone talking of the American racists, the policeman's abuse, the one that led to the death of the guy is Floyd, right? And you
Yes,
see people raising arguments about, stuff that are happening in Lagos that people are not talking about.
yeah,
It's it might sound insensitive, but there's a bit of truth in it. There are things that are even close to us that we don't see.
yeah,
So in reality, it is so difficult to say every bad thing that happens out there, we put ourselves in the center of it. It is not good for our mental health, honestly, because we will get overwhelmed. And the truth is also that we have so much concentrated on all this darkness, all these evil things and evil people, and we have neglected the simple and the beautiful things of life. As much as death surrounds everything that is around us, so also new things sprout every day. We have people giving birth around us. We have, so we have so much allowed all this sadness to overwhelm us, to drown us, that we have forgotten to enjoy the little beautiful things around us. I don't know if youth of today actually even enjoy nature. Just go out, see the sunrise, see the sunset, look at butterflies. And maybe the kind of work I do takes me around. Right now I'm in Ede. I will tell Ede people or Osun people I'm in a village. You know, I go to work in the morning. There was a time preferred to I could easily take a bike from where I live to the site, but I prefer to take a bus, then walk the remaining distance because I get in tune with nature. I pass through a river, I hear the sounds of cricket, the birds, I see butterflies. That like a couple of times I've passed, I was walking down to site, I saw snakes pass in front of me. I almost even walked into it. You understand? You see a
yeah,
snake shiny and or it's a dangerous stuff. What am I saying is, in essence, as we are so surrounded by all this evil, we are also surrounded by a lot of beautiful things. And if we let the evil overwhelm us, we will only see that darkness. That's just it. I think, and I'm not, it's not even a thought anymore. The world is just trying to achieve a balance. There can never be a balance. Yes, we will talk. We will condemn all these bad acts. We will pray and work hard to get these people to pay for their evil deeds. But I tell you, these things will not stop. And that is the reality of it. Yes, it is hard to see people falling victims. It is hard to even see, it is so difficult, especially when it is not close to us. We feel it more when we see someone close to us actually experience it. But as much as possible, I think once we agree and we understand that it is a part of life, we choose what it's hard to say, it's hard to admit, but we just choose the things we decide to get angry, so mad at or for. There are some things I don't try to even, when I see, I don't click, I don't read. Because the reality is, it gets to a stage, we get overwhelmed. We get overwhelmed. I don't know if I'm able to. I made
no, no,
a bit of sense. It's a difficult question.
yeah,
It's a
yeah, it
difficult
is.
question.
uh,
I,
wow.
I I guess we the youth we believe. we have a solution for the world.
Hmm.
We believe we can solve, and I think
Everything.
that is the yes, I think that's the first thing, the first cause of unhappiness. Because every step we take, we encounter roadblocks, and we realize, why are people this wicked? Why are these people this unreasonable? And it doesn't get better.
Right.
So, because we think we can solve the world, we can change the mindset of the world, and it is not happening, we get depressed. We get more and more and more depressed. So I tell people around me, I tell people I know, people I can talk to. Social media is so crazy right now that you can't just express yourself anyhow. They twist it for you. But people
Uh-huh.
close to me, I tell
Yes.
them, see, just try and affect people around you, your immediate circle. It spreads. It spreads, honestly. If I know someone around me that is depressed, that cannot afford a meal, and I have 2,000 and I can give him 500, I try to solve his own issue. I'm not looking at someone on the streets that cannot afford 3 square meal. You understand?
Yeah.
I can reach this person. I cannot solve the other person's issue. So I think if we approach it this way, we little by little, in our own little way, we contribute, then we ease our own mind too, and we can achieve a balance.
Oh, wow. Thanks so much for this. This has been wonderful. I mean, like, it's quite a revelation, if I will use that word. Because
Well,
when you look around your surrounding and you're trying to internalize every single thing that is wrong with the world, you you get overwhelmed, just like you said. So you said that
yeah,
the only way towards this is actually to choose your battles. Don't go about being an advocate for everything. Yes, in as much as
everything.
possible, try the little within your surrounding that you can actually address, right? Go and do
Yeah,
that, but don't
yeah.
make yourself the messiah that has come to save the whole world.
You are not. You can't be a Messiah. You can't be
So,
Superman.
yeah, it is. So, because I've kind of observed it, a lot of people on social media. I'm very, I'm not active in terms of posting, but I follow a lot of conversations on Twitter, and
Yeah.
um, most of the advocates, I mean, are angry about almost everything. Twitter is a bitter street, right?
Almost
And
everything.
people are always
Mm-hmm.
fighting, arguing, and discover that a lot of these people are
Always.
actually sad in within, in in in, in them,
Mm,
right?
mm,
Because they have access to
mm,
so much information, so much bad news that they've
mm.
forgotten to focus
Yeah.
on the good things of life. You said it for yourself that you like to
Yeah.
observe nature, the butterflies, and all that. Focus on the beauty of life. In as
Yeah.
much as there's evil surrounding us, by
Mm.
focusing on the beauty of life, you get to appreciate the good things of life, and you tend to more like create a balance. No matter how bad, no matter how
Mm.
sad things are around you, right? Look at those other things that make you happy and
Yes.
focus on it. Zoom in on it and make it
Yes.
your reality. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's a great way to actually go about solving the problem of unhappiness. You talked about choice, right?
Yeah.
That is choosing what you pay
Yes.
attention to. That brings us to, before this program we talked
Yeah.
about, you've actually compiled an anthology, right? The name is Today I
Yes.
Choose Joy, which is quite
Yeah.
similar to this solution we've actually um, propounded. So I don't know if you could probably read us a poem from your anthology, right? And probably walk
Yes.
us through the thought process surrounding that, so we can really understand what it
O-
means to actually choose what we pay attention to and how that can make us even more happy.
Okay. Okay. That's nice.
Yeah,
To just give a little background of the anthology,
yeah,
it was a response to the some sad news, some sad events in the literary world last year. We had some suicides and all that. And some of them actually were close. There were people that at least a couple of them that I relate with on a personal level. So I just felt, okay, how do we tackle this? What's my little contribution as a writer? So I decided to run the Today I Choose Joy, ask for submissions and on the anthology. It is titled When I Say I Choose Joy. So it goes thus. When I say I choose joy, it means that when life becomes a mural of gloom, devoid of zest, I become a box of crayons and paint a smile on sullen portraits. When I say I choose joy, I do not deny that sometimes I'm a lonely boat in the arms of a storm, that I am like a heavy cloud bound to break into rain. I only rev my engines in anticipation of clear weather and another opportunity to fly. When I say I choose joy, I mean I've learned not to pamper my pains nor cuddle fear in dark corners. I repeat, when I say I choose joy, I mean I've learned not to pamper my pains nor cuddle fear in dark corners of my closet. I've learned to till the night, fight pests, eating up my dreams until the sun is ripe for a dawn. Thank you. Now, the thought
Yeah,
process.
yeah, it's beautiful.
Um, for many who know how I write,
Yeah,
I think basically the first thing I try to achieve with my writing is I try to work with the principle of duality.
okay,
And if you see this poem, it has tried to, it's like the part of Khalil Gibran poem that I read at the start. It's trying to tell you that it's a pod. In the pod, you have joy, you have sorrow. And when one is active, it means the other one is just at the background. So it is trying to explain or trying to tell everyone out there that despite the fact that you see a smile on my face every now and then, doesn't mean I don't fight my battles too. But I try to win those battles by, you know, surrendering myself to the positives. So when it rains now and I can't, and there's a flood, you know, or I can't go for that interview, or I get drenched, I look, you know, for the slightest, you know, ray, the slightest thing that can, maybe I can make a joke out of, such that I'm not totally downcast. So, like I said, when I say I choose joy, it means when life becomes a mural of gloom, mural like a work of art, a painting, devoid of zest. I become a box of crayons, and in the portrait, the face is not smiling. The person is frowning, and you'll be like, just take a crayon, maybe a red crayon, or paint a smile there.
yeah,
It's just trying to show that you create that atmosphere that helps to keep you afloat. And that's basically just the essence of the poem, the essence of the anthology. And there's some, it's not only even poetry in the anthology. We have
okay. Oh,
prose, we have some fiction, we have some non-fiction. Yeah,
that's interesting.
we have some real life like, how would I say it, narration of from people that actually went through depression and how they came out of it and all that. So It's just trying to show, like I said, that it's more about achieving balance.
Yeah.
It's more about,
That, that's
motivational speakers, they say some things. They talk about you wanting something, and I think to an extent, it's more about what do you want. On the bad, on the negatives, it is what you constantly see, even when the good things come.
hmm,
That's what builds a pessimistic mindset. So even when opportunities come, you're not saying it's for Nigeria. No fury, no fury. You
yes.
understand?
Yeah.
So for someone that has that mindset, it's always doom. It's always doom. It sees nothing bright.
Good.
We must be deliberate. We stay
Hmm.
afloat. But it's not about denying the fact that unhappiness and sadness abounds and is threatening to swallow us.
Wow. 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 That's very, very powerful. I mean, choosing joy, being deliberate about what you do, it's really, really, really important. I mean, when you think about it, just like you said from the film, doesn't mean that there wouldn't be sad events around, right? But you take that sad event, right, and use a crayon and paint
Yeah.
beautiful faces, and then you smile at that.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yeah.
um, I think it's important what we choose, right? There's always going to be good and bad.
Yes.
There's always going to be sadness and happiness. What do you choose? That's what
Yes.
Jide is trying to tell us today.
Mm.
That we should choose to be happy. We should choose joy. I mean, in the literary space where you are very, very prominent in Nigeria, especially in terms of poetry, we've seen such cases of depression, suicide, and the rest. You are coming out with a solution and saying that, hey, I know you guys are going through a lot. I know we are going through a lot, but hey, this is something. This is a solution. This is something. Doesn't mean that life is all going to be rosy and all that, but decide on what you want to make out of life, no matter the situation. Guys, you can always drop your comments and your questions. We'll try as much as possible to address that. There's another question that you talked about being deliberate about your your happiness or joy, right? And I want to
Yes.
talk about relationships and happiness. Your family, your spouse, your
Yes.
partner, your relatives, your
Okay.
siblings. To what degree do they influence our happiness, right? And should we really be dependent on our families, our
Yeah.
spouses, and our partners in making us happy? Are they really responsible for our happiness?
This is also difficult because
Yeah,
it's two-faced.
yeah.
Yeah, are they responsible for our happiness? Yes, in a lot of ways. Should we be dependent on it? How do I start? Okay, let me start like this. Yeah. Um, I think when for people in relationships, well, generally, let's not even start with the love relationship with the male female. When even the one that just came that we couldn't choose, our parents, ourselves,
Yeah.
you realize that when your siblings are happy, you are happy. I think it's more like with loved ones, it becomes automatic. It becomes something you cannot actually or really control. I No matter my mood, like I said, I get home, see my children running around, see my wife, and to an extent, everything dissolves. So, as much as possible, irrespective of what I'm facing personally, I work towards making them happy. Because in the long run, or, you know, at the end of the day, seeing them happy makes me happy. Now, should I depend on that? Honestly, I don't know how to answer that. Yeah,
Yeah.
but one way or the other, you should really not depend on that,
Okay.
because as much as possible, they are humans. Maybe as kids, as children, it's easier to say yes, because children will always be children. They will be innocent. One way or the other, you even shout at them, they'll be the ones to come back and, but when they become teenagers, when you're talking of your wife, when you're talking of your girlfriend, your siblings, there are times that there will be issues. They will make you mad. They will make you angry. When at this period, when you say your happiness is dependent on them, it means for those period while you are having issues, that means you are downcast.
Yes.
So I believe as humans, we should have multiple um, things, different sources of joy, things that will keep us happy.
Okay.
But basically, I think to a large extent, family, yeah, for me, I keep telling people, I don't know, I see a lot of stories out there, and I'm more of an advocate of for family,
Yeah.
because I see a lot of things people write about parents, about spouses, about bad marriages, and yeah, from childhood till now, I keep telling you, I have witnessed a very good side of the family. I have loving parents. I have lovely siblings. You understand?
Yeah.
So when I read stuff, I'm amazed. I'm surprised. And yes, I'm not denying that people have bad experiences. But I'm trying to also let people know that if I exist and this is what I've gone through, there are families out there that that is source of joy to everybody that belong to them. So it's one thing I also I'm more of an advocate for good family, good marriage, you know, responsible parenting, you know. So because I believe your family is it's home. So if you are not happy at home, for God's sake, where else will happiness come from? Where else will happiness come from? So I hope
Okay.
I'm able to do a bit
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
justice to that.
Yeah. Of course. Of course. I think the summary of that is that we, as a family, whether it's a child or a parent or a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a husband or a wife, we
Yeah,
have a responsibility to
yeah,
make our family, our partners happy, right? But as individuals, we shouldn't totally be dependent on this because sometimes, even when these people have good intentions, they might
on that.
represent it wrongly and then it might hurt our feelings and we might
Yes,
become unhappy. So, at that point, if that's your
yes,
only source of happiness, are you just going to be sad forever?
exactly,
Of course not.
exactly.
So it's important to be deliberate about what makes you happy.
Yeah,
Don't limit it
yeah,
to just one person. In as much as family plays a great role in our happiness, we should seek happiness in other places as well. Talking about being deliberate, right? Just as a general rule, what can we do to be deliberate or intentional
yeah.
about our happiness? Hello? Yeah. You got that right. How can we be intentional or deliberate about our happiness? Okay, today's finding issues, maybe with his audio, right? We've been talking about happiness and what should we should do about our
Well,
happiness.
what
Okay,
can we do? Yeah, like I said at the start,
yeah,
I'm not I'm not a a specialist in happiness, at least for a profession or whatever. And I'm not a
Yeah.
therapist, but like I said, I think it's custom made. Hello, can you hear me? Yeah,
Yes, yes.
I
I,
think it's custom made. Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I think it's custom made. It varies for
okay.
different people, from person to person.
Oh, Jide is having some network problems, right? But from what we've said so far, he has talked a lot about what it means to be happy, and he has focused more on choosing joy, right? By being intentional, by deciding to zoom in on the good things about life, right? Because when you look around you, there's a lot of negativity, there's a lot of bad things happening, and you can easily get overwhelmed when you pay too much attention to these things. So, his advice to us is that we should focus on the good things of life, in as much as there are sad things around us. We shouldn't let these things overwhelm us. Also, we should try as much as possible to have different sources of happiness, right? Not limiting it to one source. Spread your happiness. Choose joy and decide what would make you happy. So, I think that's what Jide is trying to talk about. He's trying to connect with us now. So, he will join us now, yeah, to continue what we're saying. Right. So you were saying before the network interruption.
Yeah, sorry for that.
Yeah.
I was saying that it's, choosing, being intentional and choosing how to be happy. It's a custom made stuff. It varies for individuals. Someone like me, um, poetry is like number one
Okay.
thing that makes me happy. When I'm writing, I'm happy. When I can, say the normal things in different ways. When people, something that's, when I can coin words when I can weave words into beautiful stuff, I'm happy. So when I'm writing, so for some, yeah, I know of many people that have even that started writing as a means of escape from their sadness, from their depression. So one way I would say is having a hobby, something that engages you. So as much as it is, writing can be a profession, can be a hobby. And so for some, maybe you play sports. Look for sports, something to keep you occupied. You are exercising your body, you are keeping fit, and you're enjoying yourself. Some, like I said, is music, dance. When they hear music and they start dancing, they've forgotten everything. Yeah, at times, because in everything we do, there must be moderation.
Yeah.
Um, and there must be responsibility. So one way or the other, some people get relieved when they drink, but it's not an avenue to say get drunk because it's irresponsible to do that. Some people it's in food. Some people, once they see food, it's okay. They just keep eating.
Yeah.
Some people is it's fast food, ice cream. So there are different ways. Go through the scripture if you are a believer. Whatever faith you know you pick the scripture you read and you lighten your burden. So like as I'm saying, it's a lot of different ways to some people read. Just pick up a novel, people watch movies, and happiness is more about I don't know the how do you call it, where the word, because I didn't try to even check, stems out from. But I tell to myself, it's like what your the feeling that is evoked when something happens to you. So instead of you waiting for
Okay.
something to
Right.
happen to you, why
Okay.
not
Okay.
happen to
Um,
yourself?
okay. And thanks so much for that. So I think the summary for that would be you have to first of all identify the sources of your
Yes,
happiness, right? Look out
yes,
for those things
yes,
that make you happy. And whenever you see that
yes,
you are going through maybe a sad moment and all that, go do those things that you love that make you happy, right? Don't wait
exactly,
for it to come naturally to you. Go for it, right?
exactly.
Um, whether it's writing, whether it's traveling,
Traveling,
whatever it is, do it
yeah,
consistently. Um, Once in a while, if you need to maybe enjoy the beauty of nature, do that. If you need to write, be consistent about it while you are intentional and deliberate. That way, you'll be having consistent streams of happiness. You know, just like negative emotions like sadness and unhappiness. Those things, they don't always exist. They come once in a while, right? Similarly, you don't have to make it the majority or the, the only thing that comes once in a while. You also have to go about do things that make you happy. Go for them so that when there's a mixture of this, who knows, perhaps the good things, the sources of happiness might overwhelm those interjections of sadness, and then you see yourself becoming
exactly,
more than
exactly.
that. Thank you so much today, but before we go, we are just 3 minutes away from our time. I don't know if you have maybe any final words based on what we've said so far to the people who are watching
Well,
so far.
yeah. Well, my final words will is more like just a summary of everything I have been saying or we've discussed, and it's yeah, you know, today I choose joy. It was something I kept saying to myself every day. For people who followed, every day I wake up, I write it on the status. Today I choose joy. It became something. It became a mantra that many of the people will just write it. And so at times there are things we need to tell ourselves constantly to make it a part of us, to make it happen to us. You know. Um, Secondly, I said things that I can't change. I don't let it worry me so much. If there is nothing I can do about it, yes, it pains me, but immediately it is happening, I am resetting my mind. Let me give you an example. I love soccer. I love watching football. It has
Yeah.
reduced because of responsibilities and all that.
Mhm.
But while I was way younger, out of 380 EPL games, sometimes I might watch up to 350 live,
Wow.
and I'm not joking.
Yeah.
I'm not joking. Whatever, if they show the ones that at least they show live, as I'm watching one, I'm waiting for the other. And but what I'm trying to say is, I'm Manchester United fan. Uh, when we win, I'm happy. Yeah, I go
Yeah.
to the social media, talk about that. But when we lose, I've so conditioned myself such that 10 minutes, 15 minutes before the game is over, the match is over in my mind. The loss has gone. So the game is over, I'm laughing. It might sound mild, but that's the
Yeah.
way I approach everything concerning me. It's just an analogy for people to understand. I remember the Man City Man U. It was a 6-1 loss. And even before the game ended, I had already started jesting with some other Man U fans around me. Were like, Jide, are you not? Will I now jump into the well because Man U has lost? You get, so
Yeah.
things you cannot change. You just live with it
Mm.
and try to lessen the burden one way or the other. I think it's it's just the thing I have to say.
Wow, wow, wonderful. Uh, and for me, I would say sometimes you might be called a stoic, right? Because you do not let those externalities define who you are. And then it seems as if you are indifferent to pain. uh,
Mm,
Based on what you said, you're saying is that
yeah.
you've come to realize and understand that there are some things you cannot change. So, what's the essence of worrying so much about it? I think another thing that people should do or could do to avoid maybe emotions of unhappiness is not expecting too much from
Too
people,
much
right? Right.
people.
So there are some people have
Yes.
conditioned themselves to say, okay, I'm expecting this. They might not necessarily audibly say it, right? But they build that
Mm,
expectation on certain things or certain individuals. So when it doesn't work their way, they become sad and bitter about it. So I think it's another thing. Expect less from people
that's true.
when things
Yes.
happen.
Yes.
Accept it when good things happen, but by being too expectant, you build your happiness around those expectations that might
True.
happen and might not
Yeah.
happen. So I think
Yes. I,
that's
I
that.
I agree to that. I agree to
Yeah. Judy, I really want to thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate your time. For every other person who is watching us, who has been following this program since when we started, thank you so much for those who have followed. Hafiz, thank you for your comments. Really happy about that. Thanks for everybody who have actually dropped a comment as well. You guys are the best. Thanks, Jide. Hope to do this some other time. Guys, have a lovely evening and God bless you
for
all.
the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Amen. Thanks.